Greetings, it's Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, giving this one more try. I guess I should get myself situated here a little better. So, going to try to do the IAAPA preview again. It's just, as if you were on last night, you saw how it was kind of a disaster. But I'm in a different place. I'm at my arcade. So we'll see if it holds up. It looks like it's not. So I don't know if I'm going to be sharing this. If anybody jumps in, let me know if it's super choppy or what. Guess I need to do some research on how to live stream properly, or I don't know what the deal is here. Because it says my bit rate is great. It's much higher here than it was at my home. But yet it's still mentioning dropped frames for some reason. So if anybody's out there on the stream, let me know and we will go from there. I guess I am seeing how it is a bit choppy on the other end, and this is frustrating because it's like I don't really understand why it's going so crazy like this. Try changing our encoder and see if that works. Or what the deal might be. Hi. What do you just like $1 bills? Hey Ted, how's it going? Let me know how things are looking here. I'm seeing OBS is reporting lots of dropped frames. Perhaps what I should be doing is StreamYard instead of OBS. I don't know. But give it a moment and see how things go. Get myself situated here. It's been a little bit busy here at the arcade. Of course, it's Saturday. But if you can hear me fine, but it's dropping a lot of frames, you can leave the drink up here. Okay, because it's OBS is reporting me that it's dropping frames, so I guess we'll try here. And see where it goes. But since if you missed out on this yesterday, this is a preview of IAAPA Expo 2024. Because I spent a little over an hour yesterday talking about this, I'm not going to go through everything all over again. But there is something that did pop up about Bandai Namco that's worth sharing, as there's already people at the expo setting things up and sharing video on Facebook. And so I mean, occasionally I've had stuff sent to me before I get to the show, but it's usually not broadcast on Facebook where people are finding it. But if you didn't catch yesterday's stream, you can go to ArcadeHeroes.com. We have this IAAPA 2024, the preview of previews, up. And this is a map of the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. That's right off of International Drive. And as you can see, the convention center is entirely full as far as the floor space goes. And in fact, they even have stuff on the outside. Now, that's pretty normal. Although back in 2019, when the show was peaking before the pandemic, the outside area had even more stuff. Yep, you too. See ya. But as you might be able to tell, I am at my arcade and in Salt Lake City, Utah. At the exact moment, it's not like super busy, so that's where I decided to give it a try and see where it's going. But I can see how my webcam is having some issues there. But as long as I sound fine, I guess that'll work. And as long as the stream just doesn't crash at random. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to share this in one place really quick off screen so that you guys don't have to watch me doing business, and then we'll get talking about it. But hopefully everybody out there is doing well and having a great weekend so far. And if you have any questions about IAAPA and such, just let me know. And I'll be more than happy to try and answer those questions. And we'll go from there. So, very quick rundown in case you did miss yesterday. Covering the advertiser sponsors of Arcade Heroes at first, and so we have Raw Thrills, and they're going to have Angry Birds Boom, Halo, Fireteam Raven 2-player, and all 5 chapters of Godzilla Kaiju Wars VR. They're going to have new software for NBA Superstars where they say it's going to be faster and more exciting. Although, other than that, I don't know if there's any content changes. It sounds like that it's mainly just speeding things up, because I did notice this, and I saw some other people complaining that the game just seemed a little bit sluggish, like more like NBA 2K and not like the NBA Jam that maybe everybody was expecting it to be. And so probably just from those perceptions, they decided to try it a faster way. Hi. How can I help you? There's the pricing right there. It's the same as quarters.
Oh, same as quarters?
Yeah.
$10.
Sorry, how much?
$10.
Okay. Cash or card?
Card.
Okay. Go ahead, tap there. Never finishes processing. All right, there's $5, and there's 10. Yep, you're welcome. And then there's also Wahlap, who's going to have Monster Eye 3 as their new mounted light gun game, and something original. LAI Games has this as Kaiju Rampage. This will be a little strange to have the 2 different versions of the game at the show, but the one reason why sometimes that will happen is that IAAPA is catering to an international crowd. There are people literally from all over the planet, except for maybe Antarctica, that show up and are looking for equipment to buy for their venue. And so there's a lot of buyers from the Middle East, there's some from Europe there's some from Asia. And so because of that, that's where you're going to have certain things where it'll be a little bit different as far as the distribution goes. But they'll also have a few other games like Asphalt Moto Blitz DX, Asphalt 9 Legends Arcade, and a few other games. Probably a lot of Redemption stuff as they dabble in that. Touch Magics, I saw a post on LinkedIn today saying that they're going to have 2 brand new games at the show. The one that we definitely know about is Minions Bullseye Mania. It's an interactive darts game, which is kind of surprising to see coming from Touch Magics. Excuse me. I've seen them do some unique stuff before, but darts, definitely a new route for them. But then they'll have their other games that they've had out for a while: Crazy Prize, Space Warp, Mega Blaster, etc. Alan 1, you can use the machine right there. Right here. The Alan 1's going to have Asteroids Recharged Arcade and Avian Nights. They're in cabinets that look like this. Avian Nights has different artwork, of course. And then quickly going through everybody else, one that I missed yesterday was Ace Amusement. Now, I had received an email from them. I don't know what happened to it, because they had a graphic that showed all of the games they were bringing to their booth at 440, and it had 9 different titles there. But I was looking and trying the search function, and I guess for some reason maybe I accidentally deleted it because I was doing a bit of house cleaning on my email yesterday, so whoops. But Ace Amusement will have some games there. I'll definitely be there to check them out. and maybe connect with somebody. I've never actually talked with anybody at Ace Amusement, despite them being super prevalent in the industry now, as they have games released in China, in Europe, in the United States. They're all over the place, and so be interesting to kind of get a feel for who they are and what their thinking is behind arcade development. Adrenaline is doing this very different for them. I guess Touch Magics is doing something outside their wheelhouse. So is Adrenaline, where they have this duck derby pumping race where you're using an actual water pump and pumping a rubber ducky to get it across the finish line. Not necessarily something that you would think is a normal type of arcade game. Although there are there's the company out there, Bob's Space Racers, that does that too. Sorry, I'm just texting while live streaming here. At least I'm not driving, right? Just sharing the link on X. And so, be interesting to see that. I don't know that they'll have any surprises, but I guess that's another thing I always need to throw out there, is that there's always a possibility that there's going to be a surprise of some kind out there that shows up at IAAPA that they just didn't announce and leave it as a surprise. I know Raw Thrills likes to do that, so there's a possibility there. But at least in talking with Saki at Raw Thrills, she must have had a very good poker face in the event that they are going to bring a surprise there, because she didn't give any hints whatsoever. The firefighting game, probably talking about Brave Firefighters, I would guess, the Sega one. It would be really cool to have something like that with modernized graphics. I mean, there was a kiddie firefighter game where you actually shot water at the screen, but the graphics looked like they were running on a mobile phone from 2005. I mean, granted, kids don't really care about that, but also the gameplay itself is also just kind of meh. I can't remember which Asian company, or it might have been a Chinese company that had developed that one, but Rescue Heroes, I think it was called. But yeah, and Brave Firefighters with that Hikaru game board, it was really fantastic. To me, it seems like there's a lot of Sega games that are low-hanging fruit for Sega to remaster. Why they don't do that, I have no idea. Now, my best guess is that they feel that they can't sell them, because I do know that Sega did pitch, or somebody within Sega did pitch doing a new Golden Axe several years ago, about the time that Ninja Turtles came out, but they felt that they couldn't sell it, and so it got shelved. Of course, there is that new Golden Axe being developed for consoles, but to me, Golden Axe is the kind of game you want to play in arcade, not so much on consoles. Can I help you? Just change, or are you looking for tokens? Because I don't have enough just to do change. Yeah, you could try the Nerd Store. They usually have some change. Oh, that's right. They're outside. Try Castro Sports. They're a couple of stores over. There's also Omega Entertainment and Blue Motion Games, where I believe Blue Motion Games will have a new light gun shooter with a 100-inch screen and something that might be trying to compete with Triotech's Super Blaster or Cube. But I haven't heard from Blue Motion since I initially ran that story about it, so no clue if they have that coming or not. American Pinball, also, I would not expect them to have anything new because they were at Pinball Expo and they didn't debut any new game there. And if you're in the pinball industry, usually if you're going to debut something, you debut it at Pinball Expo. You don't debut it at IAAPA. In fact, I don't think I can recall in the, oh gosh, how many years I've been doing this now, almost 16 years that I've been going to IAAPA, that a pinball company unveiled a brand new game at the show. Now, or pinball machine, I should say. There was Amusement Expo 2008 when Stern showed off a Spider-Man Redemption game, but they never released that. Amusement Source International is going to have Skull of Shadow, a pirate shooting game for 4 players. and that's going to be competing with the likes of Bandai Namco's Goldstorm, which we'll talk about in a second. And Namero has a lot of redemption stuff coming. Again, I'm just kind of running through this since I covered it yesterday. I don't know how many of you were watching yesterday or not. But if you want me to go back to something, just say so in the chat, and we can do that. Because I'm just trying to catch up to where we were yesterday when the stream just killed itself. AVS Companies is going to have the Kung Fu Panda, the Warrior's Gauntlet, as well as a 3-player Asteroids Recharge system. Interestingly enough, both companies, the ones making Kung Fu Panda and the ones making Asteroids Recharge, are based out of Utah, where I'm currently at, or where I live, I should say. And then Bandai Namco Amusement America, the big release that everybody's looking forward to is Goldstorm Pirates, which for some reason Bandai Namco's not wanting this to be called a sequel to Dead Storm, but obviously it is. So, I mean, unless they want to, I don't know what they might do. It just like doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't want to play it up that it's a sequel. But we were sent. Oops, where did that go?
Can I get 20 tokens?
Okay. Did you change? Here you go. Here you go. Yep. Sorry, just it'd be nice if more people use the change machine, which is sitting right here, but they like to give it to a person. But so there was this video posted by, I don't know how you say that first name, Harris, where he or she posted this setup from Bandai Namco as well. And now, in case, again, if you had missed this information, actually this looks like it might be somebody who works at the center. That's funny, because yeah, if he's driving a forklift, then he most likely is one of the contractors, the GES contractor. But he must be a fan of video games and arcades, decided to post that. That's funny. I hadn't watched this yet, but the Bandai Namco booth, it had the Duck Derby from Adrenaline Amusements there, because Adrenaline does sell their equipment into Europe through Bandai Namco Amusements Europe. We saw Alpha Ops VR Strike there from Sega. Now, I guess granted, one thing to note, and this is where I'm sure any developers out there would hate seeing this, is that since this was taken either last night or today, it says 4 hours ago, this is super, super early, lots of stuff not fully set up yet, but it's still kind of interesting to see. Of course, it'll be completely different. You won't have pallets everywhere once this stuff is fully set up. We'll have nice carpet and all that jazz going on. Just gonna grab some tokens while that plays.
I don't know if it's free or not. I don't know if it's for the public, but I know it's here.
The reason, Sergey, sorry. I just don't see Sega getting back into the console hardware business is because it's just it's a ridiculously expensive thing to do, and it's very, very tough. Whereas the arcade industry, I mean, yes, it's expensive, yes, it's difficult to do, but it's nowhere near as expensive to to launch a new arcade game like it is a console. Because with the console, you have to develop all these games for it and stuff. So it would be really, like, I think that if Sega tried to do something like, I say, a Dreamcast 2, I imagine it would be a flop. Just because, again, you have with the PS5 and the Switch and the Xbox, it's really tough to compete and have more consoles than that. And of course, technically we do. You know, we have the PC, we have mobile devices. There's all these retro game consoles like the Atari VCS and stuff. And so, yeah, I think it's a tall order. I mean, would I love to see a new Sega console? Absolutely. I just think that the challenge there is just really tough. And another thing, too, that's worth pointing out about Sega is that the Sega that you see at the shows like this is technically a company called Kaizen Entertainment, and they're out of the UK. And they're licensing the Sega name for use. Now, it was a management buyout. They bought that because Sega wanted to close down all of their arcade stuff after the pandemic. But you know, that it is possible. I don't know how likely it is, but it is possible that in the future, this Sega Amusements could drop the name and instead be just Kaizen Entertainment. So don't know if that will happen for sure, but it's possible. So there's Bob Space Racers. They're the ones that generally do that sort of thing. Sorry, I'll let this play. I gotta go tell somebody to put something.
Same area we've been going through the last couple of days. Yeah. They've been doing it. Attendance. Yeah. It's about to be on and popping in here in a couple of days, yo. On and popping. I think it opens on Tuesday.
Yeah, just anywhere up here is fine. Thank
18
you.
or 19, something like that. We got a long way to go.
I miss anything cool on the video? Of course, I guess this guy's now not in the arcade area. So the way that IAAPA is set up is once you start going north, you start getting into these other things that aren't really arcades. So yeah, there's probably nothing else that we're going to see there that's going to be super interesting. But Bandai Namco, they're going to have a lot of stuff, which they haven't had a lot of stuff. Like last year was a little bit disappointing because they just had like a coin pusher and a reskin of their football redemption game and a new air hockey table, but they didn't really have much else that was like brand new. But now they'll have Gold Storm Pirates and Taiko no Tatsujin and Kitty Rides and Animal Kaiser and all that stuff. So looking forward to what they got there. Let's see, Baytech Entertainment. In that video, I did see the Goats and Ropes single-player model very briefly there. They're also going to have the Icy Slush Rush. I did not catch if they had the Battleship Bounce game there or not. I guess I could go back and rewind, but it looked like it was just mostly still stuff in boxes. Coastal Amusements, the main video game they're going to have is Wave Riders Extreme. Now, with Coastal, they always have something where it is redemption, but you can turn the redemption feature off if you want to. I am looking forward to Wave Riders just because it's like this could be like, you know, the jet skiing games. I'm trying to remember, it's not Wave Race, but what I know Sega and Konami both had jet skiing games back in the late 90s, but now their names are escaping me. But yeah, Wave Riders Extreme will be there. Of course, Sega did have a newer jet skiing game a couple of years ago, but I didn't see it at IAAPA last year. Or maybe I did, and I'm just forgetting it now. Gosh, I can't remember what it was called either, even though it was brand new. I haven't seen the game out there, so I don't know if it sold very well. Yeah, Namco had actually, yeah, Namco, Konami, and Sega, they all had these like personal watercraft racing games. Thank you. DOF Robotics, as mentioned, they're going to have the surprise of Angry Birds Fury Road, an Angry Birds go-kart racing game that's in the vein of Mario Kart. So be interesting to see how that is. ELOT doesn't have any video games. exA-Arcadia, they were just at the Japan Amusement Expo. I feel bad for the staff that's over in Japan because as soon as the expo is over, they had to go to the airport, get on a plane, and it's a 22-hour flight to get to Florida, and then they have to set up their booth at IAAPA. So they're probably going to be zombies unless they're able to get it set up quickly and then go to sleep for a while. Yeah, they're going to have probably the most games at the show. No brand new games like Jutsu Squad featuring the Samurai Pizza Cats, Fixate Exalabel, Wild Guns Rawhide, Cyberblocker R. Cyberblocker R is basically like Arkanoid returns. Eartheon Exalabel, which from the post that we did about the Japan Amusement Expo, that was apparently like the most popular game at Exa's booth, possibly among the show, I think it was. See, Batsugun Exalabel, a new build of that. Demon Front Exalabel's coming to arcades. Air Gallet, if any shoot 'em up fans probably know that name, Air Gallet. I've not played that one though myself. Asuka 120% Burning Fest, excellent. A new fighting game which was also playable in Japan. Sorry, 1 second. Hi. How can I help you? Sure, the pricing's right here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Piso, ¿cuánto? Sí, para la moneda. 5 dólares valen 20 más 10, 10 dólares 40 dólares. Please,
$10, okay. Go ahead, tap, insert, or swipe.
okay. Ah,
You can remove the card. Okay. There's $5. And there's 10. Thanks. Thank you. Let's see, what was I saying about exa? Demon Bride X again is going to be there. Although I didn't see any video of that in our Amusement Expo preview. Bunny Bomber Blast, which is a new redesigned version of Murtop, which is on Steam. Omen of Sorrows, A Rising Chaos, which is a one-on-one fighting game that's been out for a while. I do want to get that one for my arcade. I just haven't really been able to get anything this year as I'm still playing catch-up. And then some other release games like Phantom Breaker and Breaker's Revenge. I did confirm that there's going to be 2 exA-Arc32 cabinets. They're the Japanese like Vuelix style cabinets that exa has created. I don't know how available they will be at this moment, but I'll find out. Because I know that there's been a lot of people out there who want a brand new Japanese candy cab, like something like the Vuelix. That's available here in the States. And so that'll come through exA-Arcadia. Plus, they also have their new trackball controllers. Just Your Art and Design, they'll be there with the latest version of their Food Flight Redemption game, which I talked a lot about last year. ICE has some new redemption games, including Neon Bowling, which is like a small mini bowling type game there. Calcomat, I don't know of anything really new that they didn't have last year. Jersey Jack, also just like American Pinball, they're not going to reveal anything brand new here at this show. I would think that they wouldn't have taken to Pinball Expo. But as I see in the chat there, Nick801 had said that American Pinball is in a predicament. It's like, yeah, they are. They're not in a better, they're probably in the worst spot out of all the bigger pinball manufacturers, from what I understand. And so that's probably another reason why they're not launching something new. But again, I would not expect Jersey Jack to release something new unless it was like a non-pinball game. But I don't know of them having any interest in doing something like that. Jet Games, I expect them to have the same type setup as they had last year. And then LAI Games, I think this is where the stream cut out yesterday. So we're finally caught up with where I was yesterday. And so they'll have Kaiju Rampage, which is the American name for Monster Eye 3 shooting game where it has wind effects, motion base. It uses something like a Kinect sensor, a more modern one, to detect your body's movement, and it uses Unreal Engine 5. But the one that I'm really interested in is, and so LAI has been advertising all sorts of new games that they're bringing to their booth. I think they're a little crazy for launching 3 brand new coin pushers at the same show. I think they're going to be stepping on their own feet by doing that. But I caught something in Replay Magazine where there's another game which they have not announced. It's only been mentioned in Replay Magazine, and that is this mixed reality shooting title where it's like using projection mapping on solid objects. Yep, you're welcome. Thank you, guys. Yep. All right. Hi, how can I help you?
I was looking around trying to find what shooting ones or bullet hells you had, and I found 2 of them.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we have the Dodon Patchy there.
That's what I was very, very happy to see.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the most recent one?
Yes, it's a brand new one that hasn't been released on consoles ever, and so it has the original Dodon Patchy on it. It has the Xbox 360 version, and then it has a new mode, which is unique to this arcade version. And so yeah, it's like basically it's like the director's cut of Dodon Patchy.
That's a 2012 one, right?
Well, like it has that version on it, but like this particular game was released in like 2022, I think.
Wait, you're kidding? Cave doesn't make those machines anymore.
So this company that makes this cabinet, the exA-Arcadia, so they have been working with the original developers, and they themselves redeveloped the game, remastered the game, and so yeah, it's basically if you play the EXA mode, you'll see a new experience there with Dodon.
I played the
Patchy.
2012 version, and
Yeah.
that already kicks my butt every time.
Sure.
I'll give it a shot though.
Awesome.
How many the tokens are 25?
25 cents each, yes.
And if there's specific tokens, I'm assuming. It's just like my old hometown arcade is back again.
Oh, nice. Yep. That.
Got axed at once.
Well, I get a lot of. I already had people today asking for a play card, and I was like, oh, actually, we use tokens.
That's stupid.
So.
It's an ambiguous currency that you put
Yeah.
your actual money into.
Yep.
Like you won't even realize it's actually ripping you off.
Right.
Round one does that. and
Yep.
never-
Yep. Everybody does at this point, but we're still on tokens, so.
That's good. But other than Dodon Patchy, what else?
So like we have the Darius Burst, another Chronicle over there.
I
The
never played Darius.
yeah, so it's the big red black machine that you see down
The
there.
very super wide
Yeah, yeah. We do have Strikers 1945. I think it's three. It's two or
I
three.
thought it was two. I saw it
Yeah, it might
already.
be two. In there. Trying to remember what other. Like I know I have some shoot 'em up games that I don't have out here right now. So that's where
What
I'm.
else do you have in your repertoire then? That's the case, 'cause they're
So
close to each other.
I have ESP Rade. ESP Rad. Is it Rade? Rade?
Wait,
Raid?
Esperate.
Esperade. Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
It's either, isn't that Cyclone?
I think it's Cave.
That is Cave.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something
I
else.
do have Armed Police Bat Riders,
I'm not sure. If
which that was a Rising. I have Tengai. I have a Battle Bacrade board, but it doesn't work.
Wait, Battle Beret or is it Battle something else?
Battle Bacrade, as I remember it being called. B-A-K. Yeah, we see that a lot.
Sure. Especially with
Mars Matrix. Gosh, I know there's probably a few others. They're just escaping my memory at the
that's
moment.
fair, because like, there's only a select few that I'm familiar with. Cave specifically, a bit of Psycho, some Treasure, but
I had Gwange from Cave, but I traded it recently, and so.
I don't know what that one is. But
Yeah, it's a Cave game, but it actually wasn't working properly. So.
you traded away and got something working.
Yeah, I got Street Fighter 3 Third Strike for
There
it.
you go.
So.
That's what the Street Fighter.
Yeah. So yeah, we love shoot 'em up. It's just there's plenty that just don't get into the bullet hell ones. It's too intense for them, so
It's
they
way
don't.
it's too much going on. I get that.
Yeah,
It's not, and
yeah.
Not enough people want to put in the time and the tokens too. Actually,
Right,
master.
right, basically. So I'm glad that you found
I'm
Dodon
trying-
Patchy.
I'm very bad at it, but I'll play him.
But hey, if you have fun with it, that's all that matters, right?
Anyways, I'll give it my best shot.
Ah, awesome, thanks. Yes, deep shooter chat there. So that actually surprised me that it's not every day that I get somebody coming across and seeing Dodon Patchy and knowing what it is. Anyways, if I didn't chase everybody away here, mixed reality shooter. So don't know 100% what it's supposed to be, if it'll be a licensed thing or if it'll be fully original, but this is one of those things that I'm more interested in perhaps than anything else, because I think that there is a nice future to be had from mixed reality shooting or mixed reality gaming in general, because it's something that you just can't really replicate at home because it's generally using projection mapping with a projector onto solid objects and stuff. But again, I haven't heard anything from LAI as to what it is. I do still need to get some working controllers for the Oculus Quest that I have at home, so that I can check out my virtual Arcade Galactic within their Arcade Legends game, which we got set up like the beginning of this year, but I still haven't played it because I've been having issues with the Quest that I have. But yeah, that'll be very interesting. So will this game. Monkey Splash Studios has I'd never heard of them before. As far as I know, they're new. But they have this unique cooking game that's coming to IAAPA called Chef It Up. And so each side has a player station, has controls, but as you can kind of tell from the image here, each set of controls is different from the other one. And so that gives you incentive to try each station out and see how it goes. But like this one over here, it has a button and it has a dinner bell. This one over here looks like it just has a button. Maybe there's something else here. It's hard to tell. But like right here, you can see where you have these oven dials there. I'm curious as to what's on the other opposite side there. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this one and seeing how it plays and everything. Because it's not often that we get cooking games. I mean, even in general, even amongst consoles, there's not a ton of them. I mean, there's Cooking Mama, but that one's old. There's Overcooked, but that one's frustrating. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially with these unique controls, how that plays. Player One Amusement Group, I'm not really sure why, but tweets, X's are no longer embedding into WordPress, so I got to check that out. But there is a video where Hulk Hogan was touting this new wrestling game that Player One Amusement Group is going to have at their booth. Sounds like it's a redemption game. Maybe it's a pusher. I don't know. But yeah, this one is going to be interesting to see, just mainly because there's going to be a bunch of professional wrestlers at IAAPA doing autographs. It sounds like Hulk Hogan will only be there the first day, and then there's some other wrestlers that'll be there. Unfortunately, I haven't watched wrestling in a very long time, so I don't know most names other than like the biggest ones, Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker and Randy Macho Man Savage. Is that right? You can tell how rusty I am. But like newer names, I have no idea who's a wrestler these days. So that'll be at the Player One Amusement Group. They're a distributor, not a game developer themselves. PlayMind is going to have these two new versions of their compacted ball toss playbox games. So they had this at IAAPA last year, but the cabinet was not quite as fancy and colorful as what we see right here. This will be interesting for the company just because they have the much larger, like 6-player version of this that they've had for a few years, but the price on it is just huge. I think it was something like $100,000. And so like for a small arcade like mine, it's like I wouldn't even cross my mind to buy something like that, because it's like, how many games could I buy for $100,000? Now, of course, you'll say that with any game that's at that price level, but still, it's like unless this game is making $100,000 in a month or in a couple of months, then it's like it's not even going to be considered. But this one, I think it's somewhere closer to $15,000, $16,000, which is far more reasonable for most venues out there. Although I have seen the larger play box at an FEC. When I did that walk around of the Fat Cats opening in Clinton, Utah, they had a play box there, the larger version. And so, but I can't remember what they said as far as to how well it was doing. I thought I had an image of this. Let me see if I can open that up. But Primetime Amusements, so they're also a distributor. And they are going to have the new version of Sub Soccer Arcade there, which, let me see if I can find an image of that and just slap it into my browser here. Where are you guys at? Until that, while I look for it, you can listen to people flipping flippers. I know I saw an image, or they sent me an image of that one. Or here's, okay. So let's see if you guys can see that. Okay. So Primetime Amusements, they're a distributor. I do do some work for them on some stuff with their website, and they're going to have Stepmaniacs there. Sorry, they're going to have Killer Queen Arcade there, and then they're also going to have Sub Soccer Arcade. Now, Sub Soccer Arcade, it's this small unit here, but they sent me some new photos of this one. That's what I'm trying to find. But now it's just eluding me. Here we go. So the new version, it has this scoreboard on there. Now, it's kind of like the non-electrical foosball tables with the abacus where you have to use the honor system. Because what happens is you have a person sitting here, you have a person sitting here, your legs stick in here, and then you kick the soccer ball between, and when it gets into the other person's goal, that's when you get a goal. It's just, I'm guessing that they couldn't find a way to get the sensors to work without it going off if somebody puts their foot inside of the goal, and distinguishing between the ball and somebody's foot. And so that's where you have to instead hit a button if you make a score. And so this little device on the side here, that's the payment. So it's only cashless. It does not take coins. As far as I know, any sort of tap device would work for that. But that is going to be exclusively at the Primetime Amusements booth at IAAPA, which is actually sandwiched right between LAI Games and Apple Industries. Apple Industries, they're a photo booth company. Really big crane company. They'll have their latest cranes there. But I was also told that Zombie Jam, which is a game that they've had out for a while, influential, because it started off the whole smaller form factor basketball arcade game sort of idea. Granted, Connect 4 Hoops is what that one was influenced by, but Zombie Jam showed how to do it in a smaller form factor. This one is going to have new software for it, I've been told. I don't know what that entails, but if you have a Zombie Jam out there, then perhaps that would be of interest to you. Finally, we're here to Sega Amusements, and they're at booth 1006. And so they're going to have a pretty large booth. We saw a brief glimpse of it in that video from earlier. And there they're going to have Apex Rebels, Zombies Ready Daddy Go, Big Sea Fishing, which looks like a very... if you're hoping for big bass fishing, get those hopes flushed down the toilet like a goldfish, because it's like a 2D mobile game looking sort of thing. Like UNIS did a game several years ago when the fishing craze was really big called Pirate's Hook. It looks kind of like that, just with 4 players and 2 screens. On Target, which is an electromechanical shooting game, I'm interested in seeing that one. All-Stars Ultimate Disc. Now, both On Target and All-Stars Ultimate Disc were at IAAPA Expo Europe, but I haven't seen a whole lot about them. High Five is a crane machine that was in that video that we saw. The big thing about this one is apparently you control 5 claws at the same time, if I'm understanding that correctly, or you get 5 chances with the claws, something like that. But that's what makes that crane machine different from your normal crane. Then your Windfall and Skillfall Revolution games, which I've heard have been doing very well. Here's, of course, their big one that was in that video, the Alpha Ops VR Strike by 3 Mind Wave. And so this is essentially a spiritual successor to VR Agent that Sega did a few years back. But now you get to sit down instead of having to stand up. You still have the controller where you're holding it to your face and you're looking into the VR headset while holding up the controller, but perhaps sitting down will make it a little more comfortable than standing. Hi. Here you go. Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, Ted, as far as Sub Soccer goes, I'm trying to remember, I think those guys are based out of Helsinki, the developers of that, and so it wouldn't be surprising to me if they hooked up with Sega for distribution there in Europe. That would probably be an easy deal. And I've heard of Sub Soccer's shipping all over the place. I know there's one in Japan, and I think it was South Africa was another one. But yeah, I do like the cabinet for this one. It's definitely unique, stands out. I like, it does remind me of Target Bravo Operation Ghost, just with the VR. This is another game that personally I wouldn't mind seeing a non-VR version of it. I kind of wouldn't mind seeing a non-VR version of VR Agent too. But I don't know, VR Agent might not work in that regard. However, this game, at least from the footage, Sega does have a video of this up on their YouTube channel where it doesn't, at least from that, I didn't get the impression that there's a lot of looking around that you need to do. So that's where it's like, I don't know that the VR really adds much, but that's just my feeling. I mean, again, maybe it plays differently, and so I'll find out for sure here in a couple of days. But yeah. Yeah, with House of the Dead, Matt, yeah, I don't know if you were here earlier when I mentioned that to me it seems like there's a lot of games that Sega could remaster for arcades and re-release, and like House of the Dead seems like a perfect one. House of the Dead 2 would be fantastic, or do a House of the Dead collection sort of thing. Hi. We've thought about it, sure. How much would you want for it? Or how much would you want to pay for it?
I've seen that. I've been coming here since I was a little kid. I've always played it every time I came. So I'm like, what would you let it go for? Because I know if you guys had it.
I'd have to look it up. I haven't seen what the values are on them recently. So, because I know for a while values were a little bit inflated, but now they've been coming back down. So I'd have to double check. It'd probably be several $100s, most likely, would be my guess. But again, I'd have to double check and find out. But yeah, we'd be willing to part with it for the right price. So yeah. So you can check back, and once I get a chance to look it up, then yeah. So, okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. But yeah, as I was saying, there are certain games that I would love to see Sega remaster and put into an arcade machine. But granted, yeah, like you said in the chat, I mean, I have a House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn sitting right here, and it's fine. I mean, I am surprised that it doesn't do as well as The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead usually beats it out in earnings. Personally, I think House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn's a better game than Walking Dead is, but maybe it's just that the name is more attractive, or it's the fact that you have the crossbows in The Walking Dead that make people gravitate towards that more than they go at the Scarlet Dawn. Please not too hard on the shifter. The new zombie game that Sega has, this is one they debuted last year. It's called Zombies Ready Daddy Go. It's a redemption game where you roll the balls and they get into the holes and they make your zombie run across the screen. It's like not a marathon sort of thing or an obstacle course type game. But yeah, that one's been out there for a little while. But any other comments, thoughts about Sega Amusements before we move on from them? Yeah, it's a carnival game, that's right. I guess when I visit the carnival here, they never have games like that, so it doesn't cross my mind as being a carnival game. I just need a stick shifter game, where all it is a stick shifter for people to hit, and so like if they start slamming the stick shifter, the harder they slam it, the more it charges them. Because that's what Maximum Tune 5 is half the time. People don't even play it, but they just come in and slam it as hard as they can. Yeah. And actually, another thing that I just thought of is Apex Rebels. This is supposed to have a fourth level added to it, a fourth track. But that track was not available at the build that was at Amusement Expo, so that was a little bit disappointing for me because I wanted to try it out. It was like the level that had a bunch of cherry blossoms on it. So hopefully this show will have that software on it so I can finally see what that track is like. If they don't, I'll have to lodge a complaint with the manager, Paul Williams, of Sega, because it's like, why are you guys bringing an outdated game to the show? All right, Smart Industries, they have JJ bought the Avatar. I was talking with the distributor salesman the other day. I asked him, it's like, how's that doing? He's like, well, how many people do you think wanted to buy a $50,000 crane machine? It's like, yeah, that's what I figured when I first saw that. I mean, yes, it's novel. Yes, it's very cool. But $50,000 for a crane machine. No matter how cool it is, it's still a ton of money. But I did like the presentations. Like, I'm sure there's a way you could do something where like the machine is interacting with the player without it having to be this robotic arm that costs an arm and a leg. Sturm Pinball. So they're going to be at the show. Of course, they're not going to have nearly as big a booth as they have at Pinball Expo. I guess that's what makes me a little bit sad is when I see all these other booths, all these other shows that Stern attends, they spend a lot more money and they do a lot cooler booths at these shows than they do at Amusement Expo or IAAPA. And so it's like, darn, I'd love to see their Comic-Con booth come to IAAPA or something because it's so much radder. Or even at Pinball Expo where they had this kind of X-Men cave set up there. That was really cool. But wouldn't expect that at IAAPA. But, so they did bring Metallica Remastered to Pinball Expo on the very last day of the show, but I left on the Friday before then. I had to come here to work. So I missed out on that, but at least I'll get to play Metallica Remastered at IAAPA and maybe some more Uncanny X-Men if I get a chance. As I mentioned earlier with Jersey Jack, I didn't get a chance to play a working Avatar at Pinball Expo, so at IAAPA I should get that chance finally. Now, I did see in the news that Metallica's the first of other remastered games, so I'm looking forward. What remastered game would you like to see? Hi.
I didn't know if you were busy or something.
Oh, you're fine.
If anything, I didn't know that it had the true final boss as an actual option.
Yep. So that was...
I'd only heard of it. I didn't think it was going to be that ridiculous.
Right. But yeah, like that particular version of the game, it was to make it so that you could encounter that and all that
Otherwise,
stuff.
you'd be gated by trying to beat the entire game without a continue.
Right. Yep. Exactly. It
I'll
is.
get there eventually, but it's going to take years.
Yes. Lots more practice. So.
I only made it to stage 3.
Hey, that's still really good. So.
I mean, I was doing pretty well. I just couldn't make it.
Yeah, I usually get to stage 2 before it's like I have to continue. So.
I think my first continue was at end of stage 2.
Uh-huh.
Or 3, I don't know.
Gotcha.
Even then, it's somewhat familiar to the original version, but it really just threw a couple of curveballs, which I was not prepared for.
Right.
But anyways, I'm glad you have this. If I'm ever in town again, I'm probably going to come back here.
Yes, please do. We might have one of our other shoot 'em up games out next time. So.
My name is Patrick. You might
Patrick?
come around.
Okay, great. Nice to meet you. My name's Adam.
Adam?
Yeah, I'm the owner here. So.
Get this place to memory.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. You too. Hey. Always like having customer interactions like that. All right, Team Play. I don't believe they're going to have anything new other than like they've been promoting their Pixel Pix Gen 4 Deluxe photo booth. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Team Play do some video games again because like most of those guys are ex-Midway, and so I guess it makes me sad as a gamer when I see people that used to be making video games making non-video game stuff. I mean, I understand why you do it. It totally makes sense. I mean, yeah, and obviously you need to make things that keep you in business, as video games are tough, and there's a lot of competition there. But yeah, they'll have that there. Techway is a Chinese company that. Hey, please not so hard on the controls. Take it easy, please. Techway, or actually, sorry, they're from Taiwan. They're hit and miss. Like I've seen some interesting video games show up from them when they do show up at IAAPA, but they don't usually come to IAAPA. So, from what we saw at GTI Asia China Expo, where they were at, it was mainly kiddie rides, I think. But like I think it was years ago that they had like a light gun game, and they had a Street Fighter 4 clone where it was obviously using the Street Fighter 4 engine. But the different characters, different stages and stuff, it was a little strange to see, like a hacked version of Street Fighter. But yeah, I guess they're mainly focused on kiddie rides, which is an easier sell. Trio Tech will be there at 3 different booths. They're going to have a big press event. I haven't heard of them doing anything that's like an arcade machine like the Super Blaster Cube or the Storm VR, but it's possible that they could have a surprise there. Yeah, they had a dinosaur shooter. That's right. I forgot about that. But I guess the one thing about Cube and Super Blaster, if you're not familiar with these games, you can find videos of them on my channel, or like this one right here that's embedded into the post. But these are the most expensive arcade games out there. The Cube and the Cube at least costs $100,000 for a 4-player light gun game. Now, yes, the graphics on it are fantastic, Unreal Engine 5, and very good Unreal Engine 5 stuff. They obviously spent some coin on getting some good artists and good game designers and stuff. But yeah, you have to be a big FEC with a lot of foot traffic and a lot of money coming in to get that sort of game. Unfortunately, not the sort of thing that I would have in my place ever, for the reasons I stated earlier when it comes to $100,000 games. Unico USA will be there with their Nova Blast candy cabinet. That's kind of sort of like, I mean, they probably wouldn't like hearing it being compared to Arcade 1-Up, but it's something for homes. However, it's supposed to be workable for arcades, but I haven't seen one in person, so I have no idea if it would hold up under the abuse that you would see in an arcade. But they were at IAAPA last year, and I missed them. I just totally spaced it. But they'll be there this time, and I'll make sure I visit them. Hi, how's it going? How can I help you? Tokens? Okay. Let me see if I got the change for that. Yeah. Alright, here's your change. Tokens. Thank you very much.
I want to see if we could put the top and top.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. Let's put two of them. Just guys. I don't know. It's always just the one.
That looks about.
Okay, I didn't know this one.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. Most in-demand game? Well, I guess that depends on the operator. I mean, yes, Mario Kart has been in very high demand. I don't know that it would be in more demand than, say, Jurassic Park Arcade from Raw Thrills, because that is one game that, like, literally every venue out there buys them. I know Raw Thrills was telling me that Cruise and Blast is one of also their best-selling games. As well, and so, hey guys, if you could please leave the food up here. We can't have food by the games. Thank you. Guys, hey, let's take it easy on so what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know if the demand is any higher on one over another. But yeah, is Mario Kart in demand? Yes, it is. And I know it's a little bit tough to get a hold of. Last year when I was at IAAPA and talking with Namco, they said that they had orders for Mario Kart that would last through the fourth quarter of 2024. So that would mean if you had ordered one in 2023, some people are waiting until now to get their Mario Karts, which is pretty big as far as orders go. But will Namco do another Mario Kart arcade sequel? Probably one day, but as long as the demand is still there, that at this degree for the 2013 Mario Kart, there's no reason for them to. And they said as much. You know, that's how Japan looks at it, is where it's like, well, why should we do this when people are still buying this game, even though it's 11, 12 years old now. So, UNIS, they just celebrated 30 years in business. They're based out of China and Canada, and they're always ones to release quite a few games and introduce new things. I guess just the thing that always is a little weird to me about UNIS is how they can hype up a game, and then if it doesn't sell well, they just act like it never existed, and you never hear about it again. Like, you guys remember the Crazy Taxi-like game that they had a couple of years back? What happened to that? Well, it must not have sold very well. Or I don't know if Sega threatened legal action because it was a little too close to Crazy Taxi in some respects. Like, even the green arrow, it's like, why would you copy that? Make a slightly different arrow and not green, and so it's not the same thing as Crazy Taxi. But like UNIS does that a lot, and so it's kind of like, will any of these games be massive hits? Who knows? But then of course there's also the other issue that you'll hear from a lot of operators is just the parts quality. It needs to improve over at UNIS Central, because there can be some major issues with their games at times, and that could, of course, if a game doesn't operate properly, then it's not going to be making money. But they do have this very cool looking Neon Rush motorcycle game, which is the first dual screen motorcycle arcade racer that I've seen. Also has the motion base on it like Asphalt Moto Blitz has. Hi, how's it going? Good. How can I help you?
I'll just do $5.
$5? Okay. Cash or card? There you go. Thanks. But yeah, like personally, I don't know about you guys, but does having a motion base on top of a swivel motorcycle do anything for you? Sega did this with Storm Rider 2, and Asphalt Moto Blitz DX is doing it. And there was another motorcycle racer that IGS did. I think was it Speed Rider, 3DX or something that had that. But when I try it, I don't really notice that much of a difference to having the motion. It just feels like tacking on something that makes the game cost more without really making it earn more. I don't know. That's my opinion. But okay, let me see what that was. Kids going behind games and their mother not doing anything about it. That's always fun. Let's see, what else will UNIS have? They'll have Bigfoot Smash, which is the third version of their Bigfoot series of racing games, but it's all on one screen. Has 3 player stations, so it'll do split screen on that. We don't see split screen too often in the industry anymore. Dino Storm, I'm looking forward to seeing this one because it's like Rapid River, more of a focus on dinosaurs, obviously, but the ore controllers, as long as they hold up, then it should be great. But I guess that's the big question mark, where it's UNIS, will it hold up? Monster Kart, this is another Mario Kart thing. Like, I am a little bit surprised that it's taking this long for other manufacturers to try and do Mario Kart style games, but better late than never, I guess. Of course, it's really hard to compete with, the king of go-kart video games, being Mario Kart. There's another pirate game, Sailor's Quest VR2. I don't know how many places out there bought the first one, but that one, the sequel is going to be at the show, competing with Goldstorm Pirates and Skull of Shadow. So there's that at least. Let's see, Carnival Shot. That's an interesting one where it's like a Carnival shooting gallery video game version, but it'll dispense capsule prizes depending on what you win. And then a bunch of other redemption games. Oh, thank you. Somebody lost their card. That happens once in a while. Valley Dynamo will be there. I forgot to put on there that they'll have their Jet Hoops game and Jet Pong games. They've been very proud of those. And I've seen a few places, a few FECs grabbing that particular game. Although when I was at Fat Cats in Clinton and I did that video tour, one of them wasn't working. Though it was like day one where they just opened, and sometimes that happens. But still, you'd hope when you plug a game in and start playing it that it works out of the box. For the last of our video arcade manufacturers, we have Zoom Studios, and so these guys showed up for the first time at IAAPA. It's either last year or the year prior, mainly focused on redemption games, but they are expanding their reach, and they also bought up Bearing Games, which we've covered in the past, where they do air hockey tables and foosball tables. I've owned a couple of their products before, but they are going to reintroduce a new quad air, the square-shaped 4-player air hockey table. Admittedly, it looks a lot cooler than the original quad air did. And then they'll also have another coin pusher, astrology, and some merchandisers. So any questions, any comments on the video game side before we get into the virtual reality and simulator side of IAAPA? And yes, if you didn't hear the news, Raw Thrills will have all 5 chapters of Godzilla Kaiju Wars at IAAPA to play. And then the software itself will be available shortly after IAAPA for locations to add. And out of all of these, the most cost-effective ones would probably be like Allen One and exA-Arcadia. Would have games that are under $10,000. But of course, when you get to augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, and simulators, you're never talking about affordable here as far as like below $10,000 or below $20,000 usually. You're usually talking about something that's going to cost $50,000 to $100,000 easily. Now, one interesting note about this year, because I originally just copied and pasted my preview for my IAAPA 2023 for these ones here. And then as I was going through the map and looking up places to make updates, I was surprised by how many companies that were at last year's IAAPA that are focused on virtual reality are not at this year's IAAPA. Probably the biggest glaring one is vArsenal. Where, you know, they've had a name for a few years with their different systems that they do. They did the Beat Saber VR, and they had the Zombieland shooter, and they had a big, supposedly holographic type game at IAAPA last year that was invite only, but they're not here this year. Hi. $10. Okay. You want a cup? Let me see if I got one. Just bring it back and you're done. Thanks. Yep. So yeah, I was very surprised to see vArsenal is not there and several others. But I mean, I guess it goes to show that unless you have a product that just blows everything out of the water with VR, like Virtual Rabbids or Godzilla, it's very tough to get ahead. And I kind of figured that would happen. That for a long time, VR has felt like a bubble. I'm sure there's some people in the industry who would be spitting at the screen at this point because I know some people that are very much sold on the VR thing and it's the savior of arcades. I don't agree with that. I've laid my reasons out before. I'm not saying that there won't be VR in the future. I'm just saying it's not going to replace all your flat displays. But that's my opinion, and I could be wrong. I recognize that. But as I mentioned earlier, I think the future, or what I would prefer to see developers do, is move more towards mixed reality. Projection map stuff to me is just far more fascinating and cooler. It comes with none of the wearable issues that VR has with it. So, yeah, that's my brief take. But yeah, Amusement Products LLC, they represent Vex Solutions, which I also think Schaefer Distributing deals with. Ballast VR, they deal with water park and water slide VR stuff. I've never tried a VR headset on a water slide. I imagine that's interesting, I guess. Hopefully it doesn't make you vomit while you're going down the slide, though. Breeze Creative. These guys, I had seen them before, but I guess I just hadn't remembered their name. But they do projection mapping. They do mixed reality stuff like with sandboxes, and so animated sandbox. So as you move the sand around, it changes the image that's projected on the sand. It's really cool. And so they have some other dynamic flooring and stuff. Gotta love screaming kids. Creative Works, I mean, they're a big company. They have 2 booths. They often have a lot of stuff. But I could not find any announcements about IAAPA other than this Lucky Putt bar games. Hi. There you go. Thanks. I mean, they do have Limitless VR, which is a wireless free roam solution. Last year they had the VAR box, although when I passed by, several of the units were not working, and I was passing by on like on a Thursday. And you know, they've been big on laser tag as well as VR, but again, I've only saw something about their Lucky Putt kind of arcadified mini golf things. So I don't know. I'll check them out and see if they got something new beyond that to talk about. Hero Zone VR, that's another free roam solution. They did announce a new game, and one thing that I thought about this when I saw it was like, hey, it's not a zombie game. Because it's kind of absurd to me just how every single VR company seems to have zombie games, and not just one, but like several. Hi. There you go. Yeah. So like, it's so cliche at this point to have a zombie shooter with VR. It's like there are other things you can shoot, you know, robots and dinosaurs or whatever. It's like, how has nobody done a dinosaur VR shooter yet? I mean, maybe they have and I just didn't pay attention, but I can't recall seeing one. But like this one, it's basically Harry Potter without the Harry Potter license, where you're doing Wizarding Academy stuff. And so I like that idea. And so, you know, puzzle solving, exploration and stuff. I mean, maybe something like this needs to be more action-packed for an arcade. I don't know, but I'd like to check it out. And they also will be showing off their mobile setup. So, like, if you are an arcade operator and you want to set up VR arenas in other places, they have a solution that will work for that with exclusive software. That's a nice touch to it as well. And so there's also Hologate, where they are finally going to introduce their wireless Arena Infinite. I mean, Hologate's one of the most popular VR arenas that's out there, but it's all wired, and so it feels like they've been falling behind, like the likes of Hero Zone and some others that have been doing free roam VR stuff. So now Hologate's finally going to be there. But whether or not they'll have any new games for that, or if it's just this new wireless solution, I don't know. Holovis, they do a lot of content production, Ideas Extremas. It sounds like they're going to introduce their own VR arena, but I mean, it's tough to come in with a VR arena. I mean, last year, last November, last IAAPA, I should say, I noticed a lot of FECs started listing their VR arenas for sale. Now, that was around the time where Godzilla VR was announced, so maybe it was where it's like, hey, this VR arena's not doing so well for us, but let's get Godzilla instead. That might have been pushing them to do it, but, I mean, for the prices that some of those VR arenas were selling at, like $15,000, and when they originally were, say, $75,000 to $100,000, it shows that they were not earning that great. And so that's where I hate it, when there's people that gaslight within their industry about how well VR does, because they're so invested and they become so shilly about it that they're dishonest. And to me, that's where you lose credibility. It's like, just be honest about it. If VR arenas are not making that much in general, like maybe there's one or two places where they're doing gangbusters, and that's fine. But that happens with every product out there. But if it's not happening for most, don't pretend like everybody is making what the top one is making when you're talking about it or selling it out there, because you'll look silly when it turns out that everybody starts selling them off because they're crap. Let's see, Emotion is educational VR experiences. InnoWise, so this is one company that started off with a VR arena that they called, I believe it was Arcadia VR, but interesting enough, they've basically moved away from that completely, and now they're focused entirely on their immersive reality game room called Cubics. And so this has been at the past 2 IAAPAs, and it uses projection mapping on the walls, and it's seamless there. I guess it'd be cool if they could do it curved instead of having that kind of hard corner there, but still fun games to play. I guess it does have a zombie shooter in it, but this one has 6 different games on it. They've released a few this year. I think they're debuting a new one. I played one last year that was fun, where it was a cooking game where you'd have to go and grab ingredients and create stuff for your players. That was pretty cool, and so they'll just have the latest software to that. But again, like I said, it's an interesting pivot to me that they've done that, whereas they had started off just focused on VR stuff. Max Flight will be there. They're always impressive to see, but no clue if they're going to have something brand new that we've never seen before. Watch VR, they're already saying on their website that they have certain systems for sale at low prices. To me, that again screams that they're probably not selling too well, so they kind of have to fire sell it to get them to move the product out. But they'll have their BeatStar Rhythm VR game here, which I hadn't watched before. Okay, I guess it's not a rhythm game. It's more like the Storm VR that Trio Tech does. Exactly like that one. Okay. I guess the thing to me about any of these VR games where you have to put your hands up, it looks like you're scared all the time. Hi. 10? Go ahead, tap and service swipe. There's $5 and 10. Thank you. Scared, or it's like you're saying, please don't punch me or something like that. It's kind of goofy. Rylix is a Brazilian company. They've been very successful with their products. I do know that Endemiro will showcase a new ride for the SpongeBob VR Rylix coaster that they do, the Ghost Coaster. But otherwise, I don't know if there's anything else that they will debut. Hi. I'm actually out of tokens here, so if you use this machine right here. And sorry about that. That's the one problem with using tokens is you run out of them and they don't come back. So I better finish this up. Yeah, the O-Watch machine is definitely a clone of the Trio Tech, and I've known before Trio Tech has been antsy about people filming their stuff, and they've mentioned specifically Korean companies. I didn't know which Korean company they were referring to, but maybe it was O-Watch on that one. Let's see, Talon Simulations, they're going to be at IAAPA. They do the Dave & Buster's VR installations, like Top Gun Maverick. But I haven't heard of them doing anything else since then, so no clue what they might have. Valomotion is a company where they don't deal with VR, but they deal with mixed reality, lots of projection mapping. They have their Valo Arena, which is pretty cool to watch. I think I have some video of that on my channel somewhere, but they're going to be introducing this new Valo Park indoor entertainment park, which basically is several of the Valo Motion things set up in a venue. So it almost sounds like they're trying to franchise this out so that you could set up your own Valo Park and have that. But personally, it's like I would do that, plus I would throw in some arcade machines there, if it was me, if I was allowed to. VR 360 Action. Last year they gave away this $30,000 OMG simulator. But since then, I haven't heard anything else they've been doing. I know this gentleman in the thumbnail here no longer works for the company. I don't know if this gentleman does anymore. I haven't heard from him. So maybe that's why I just haven't heard anything. But they will be at the show, so we'll take a look and see. But they're not giving away another machine as far as I know. Phenomenon VR is another free roam VR solution, but I don't know what they're bringing. Then Zero Latency VR. So they are actually bringing this. This is one thing they've been touting a lot with Space Marine VR. As obviously Space Marine 2, I think on Steam has done exceptionally well this year. And so doing a VR version essentially of that is obviously a good idea. And hey, you're not shooting zombies. Woohoo! But I can't remember if Zero Latency was at IAAPA last year. I don't remember seeing them. But this is the last one of the VR stuff. So once this trailer's over, I guess I'll throw it out there already. Got any questions, comments, so you guys want to say before we end the stream here? Hallelujah, we actually made it this time, so it definitely was my internet. Of course, I guess that's the weird thing about a lot of these VR experiences where they're a shooter is you're all kind of standing in the same little section. I mean, obviously you got to find a way to do it so that you're not like hitting each other with the guns or bumping into somebody else and injuring them. But it looks cool and it's different and it's a big license. So yeah, I'll definitely ask about Bike Dash Delivery. I'm sure they're prepping for the questions that or the things that I'm gonna bring up. I don't think I mentioned it in this stream, but I mentioned it yesterday. exA-Arcadia is going to have at least 2 games that were not shown off in public at the Japan Amusement Expo, possibly 4. I don't know for sure what 2 of them are, but the 2 that I know of for sure, I know what they are. I want to say what they are. One of them is an EXA label, so it's a remaster of an old arcade game. Kind of an obscure arcade game, but it's one that I personally like. So that's all I guess I can say about that. The other one is a license. It's a beat-em-up game, but it's not a Double Dragon as far as it's not the Double Dragon IP. It's something else, but another 4-player beat-em-up is coming from EXA. Hi guys, how's it going? Good. How can I help you?
You buy trophies with a card, right?
Yes. $10? Yeah.
You want to just pay for it? Cause I can... Yeah.
Okay, there's $5. There's 10. And if you could please leave the water up here, we can't risk any liquid spills. We had one earlier today.
You just hold it for me?
Sure.
Come back. Thanks.
Yep. Do I have any machines at home? No, I do not. My wife would probably kill me if I tried. I don't even have an arcade one-up. I mean, I have game consoles. You know, I have a big collection of Atari systems. I have a Switch. I have a Wii U. I have a Wii. I have a PS3, a PC, of course. So my home game collection's nice, in my view. I mean, not the nicest, but you know, I got some stuff. But yeah, an arcade machine. When you run a business, it just doesn't feel like you should have something at home. It feels like you should have it here so that it can earn money for you. And if it can't earn money, then you might as well sell it. But yeah, it's like if I really need to play some arcade machines, I just come to work and maybe play them after hours if I really feel the need to. Yeah, any other questions, comments? What do you want to see? What's the biggest thing you guys want me to cover from IAAPA? And while you think about that and put it in the chat, I'm going to go grab some more tokens because I'm out. and nobody uses the change machine. I don't do cash back. I can do tokens, so if you want to buy some tokens with the card. Well, yeah, like it'll charge you. So like if you want $5 in tokens, I can do that with the card, but I can't give you like cash.
Can you give us $3 in tokens?
Yeah. So $3. Please don't do that with the shifter. It's all right. Whatever you want. If you don't want a receipt, you can just push no receipt. There you go. Thank you. This is where a card system would be nice. Unless, of course, I ran out of cards. Yes. Ban them. Ban them into outer darkness. Sorry, I just got to put some token numbers in here really quick. What's the point of pulling tokens if you don't keep track of how many the game's made? All right, let me catch up on chat. Hi. There you go. All right, so Tycho and Goldstorm, another Goldstorm. Yeah, definitely Goldstorm. Gonna play through that. If I can find the time, I'll try and record playing through the whole game, and checking out the cabinet and everything. Certainly filming Taiko no Tatsujin, although I guess it'll be interesting. Sometimes at shows like this, unless the manufacturer brings fans that are really good at the game with them, a lot of the time music games won't get played. Because like operators, I think I mentioned this in the stream yesterday, that a lot of people that operate arcade businesses in this industry are not gamers and they suck at games. And so, hi. There you go. Thanks. And so with that, like with Adamiro and Step Maniacs, they will usually have people there that are fans, or the staff themselves are really good players, and so they'll play that to show it off. Of course, like Andamiro last year did a Pump It Up competition at IAAPA, but I have no idea if Namco has anybody that was like a Taiko master coming to play that and show it off. But I mean, I'll have to try it. 5? There's 15. There you go. Thanks. But obviously Taiko no Tatsujin is like one of the more entertaining ones to watch out of all the arcade games that are probably going to be there. EXA definitely covering that. I tried this one year, but I had a little problem in the setup. So I need to remember to take it with me tonight. I want to take my capture device and see if I can do direct captures of certain games. And so it'd be great to do that with EXA. It'd be great to do it with Sega, Namco, Raw Thrills. If I could do a direct capture at the show, awesome. It's just I need to have the right setup. I mean, if they've switched over to DisplayPort, then that can cause a problem. But like I might need to have the right audio cables and stuff like that. So it just depends, but I'll give it a try. We'll see. Cross our fingers. But let's see. But yeah, and then if I can talk about the other EXA games that they will be bringing there, I'll be more than happy to do so. If I can't do it publicly, then at least for members on the YouTube members side of things, then I'll see about sharing some stuff, sharing some info there. And also for members, if there are any members in the chats, I'll be posting some photos earlier for you guys to see before the public gets to see them. So just a little treat there. Make it worth your while. And so thank you for anybody who does do that. I really appreciate it. But even those who don't, even if you don't subscribe, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching and following the channel and for providing information and all that stuff. It's really awesome of you guys. Let's see what else we got here for chats. Yeah, that drinking, if I did a drinking game of taking a shot every time somebody slammed the shifter, I'd be dead from alcohol poisoning. Of course, if I got $1 for every time I had to tell somebody to not be using the shifter because they selected automatic, but they keep slamming the shifter, thinking that it's making them go faster, I'd probably be, I'd be halfway to being a millionaire at this point. It's crazy. It's like almost every single day I'll have to go and tell people, you don't need to use the shifter, you selected automatic. It's just bizarre to me how often they do that. Yes, I do have Enter the Gungeon. Recently it did have a little problem with one of the guns, but fortunately Griffin Aerotech was able to remote connect to the machine and fix it. There was also a software update to it. I haven't heard any complaints about the game crashing like it had several months ago, because there was a point where I think after you beat the first boss and you're in the second area, it was crashing consistently, but that seems to have been resolved. It's doing okay. It's not doing as well as, it's not in the top of my light guns as far as earnings go, which is sad, which is too bad. But I mean, as far as indie games goes, it is one of the better earning indie games. It certainly earns a lot more than Sky Cursor ever did. Like my Sky Cursor made like $5-7 a week, but Enter the Gungeon does a lot better than that. But again, if there's any indie developers out there, do not use controllers that were designed for home use, like Sinden guns. They just do not hold up in an arcade environment. Now, I guess I should say, I feel like I might be knocking on wood by saying this, but I haven't had, other than that software issue with the guns, I haven't had any hardware issues lately. Griffin Aerotech did send out some new lenses a little while ago, and that seems to have helped. But it is one of those things that makes you a little nervous, just because when I first got the game, one of the guns was dead within a week. Now, again, I haven't had that problem, and sometimes you get big, major manufactured stuff where things break. Like my Batman that's sitting right here across from me, after I had it for 2 days, the monitor on it died completely, and I had to order a new one. And so that can happen with just about anybody, so I don't want to make it sound like it's just Griffin Aerotech there. But again, I think when it comes to when you're researching controllers, like you say, you don't have the capital to design your own controller, try and see what somebody else in the industry has already designed that is for commercial use that can withstand abuse. I mean, there are solutions, and there are ways to figure it out without having to use something that's cheaper, and that will go a much longer way towards the success of your game than settling for something that really wasn't designed for this sort of use. Oh yeah, NSM, if we run across each other, you could be a great model, because I'm sure some of you know, Oftentimes I'm sitting there filming somebody and they really suck at the game, and sometimes I just don't have any choice, because there are certain games where I have to wait a while for somebody to come and play it, especially certain kiddie games. And it's like I need the footage, but it's like it's not very fun if nobody's playing it. Now, oftentimes I will play something, but I guess I'm not always at my best because I'm sitting there thinking about my camera. It's like I don't want somebody to walk off with it, or I'm not able to reframe something, like if something goes out of focus, or if somebody bumps into the camera and I don't see it because I'm playing the game. It always causes a little problem there. And so if you or anybody else run into at IAAPA wants to serve as a model on the videos, then by all means, especially if you're good at games, then that might be a lot better than what some people are like. Because like I've said a few times, there are plenty of people in this industry that suck at games. And I've seen some very cringy things. I mean, maybe I should be recording these cringy moments of people who are really bad at games at these shows and sharing those. But maybe the people wouldn't like that. And I don't want to be one of those douche streamers like Johnny Somali or something. It's not how I roll. But yeah. Any other questions, comments? Looks like we're dropping frames again. Yeah, and also there's the Arcade Heroes Discord, where we've got a great community of people, where I'll also be able to share stuff. In the past, I didn't have good data on my phone, and internet in a convention center like that absolutely blows. But this year, I do have a much better plan going on, and so I should be able to easily share photos and such. Like I said, I will be sharing some stuff with members first in plenty of instances, but it will get out to the rest of you. So if you're wanting to follow along, Discord is probably going to be the easiest place for me to keep you up to date. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. So I guess I do need to find a way to do more live streams. I know for me it does feel awkward when I'm having to do a live stream while I'm working at the arcade. I mean, it's like I'm sure some arcades would fire you if you were live streaming at your job. But since I'm the owner, I could do what I want. But it's like sometimes I'm leaving the stream, so it's like I'm sure if somebody just finds the stream and they're not familiar with the site or what's going on, and like nobody's there at the camera, there's like, what the heck is this? But I guess what you've been able to notice is that arcades are alive. That's one nice thing from streaming on a Saturday, is that it has been busy, and it's got the ambiance. I'm glad you guys can hear stuff too. Of course, I guess I feel a little embarrassed. I have to yell at somebody for being damaging a game or something like that, and so or moving a game cabinet, which I've had to happen before. Yeah, I guess I should be doing that, like in a note, AFK, BRB, something like that. Or setting the camera on the arcade itself when I walk away, so that way you can see things going on. Of course, right here it would just be showing customers as they walk up to the desk. I don't know if they want to be filmed like that. So glad we were able to finally get through our IAAPA coverage here. So again, please stay tuned for news, because there's going to be so much. I'm going to have to decide probably while I'm flying tomorrow how I'm going to go about posting it. Because in the past, I would generally do posts either for day 1, day 2, day 3, or I might split it up by manufacturer. You guys can tell me what you think you like best. I'm kind of thinking by manufacturer works the best. I mean, sure, there's a lot of news to go through, but it's like I want to make sure that everybody gets covered, especially like smaller companies, indie companies, because it's so easy for them to get lost and all that stuff. And it's like going to IAAPA for any company, it's not cheap. It's extremely expensive. I mean, you got all sorts of costs that go into it, and so I want to get coverage out there for everybody, no matter who you are. And so, I mean, yes, I don't really focus on redemption much just because as a gamer, I don't find it very compelling. Like coin pushers, I just don't get really coin pushers. I've never really cared for them and stuff. I'm a video gamer. And so that's why my focus goes there first. But again, if you want to see more stuff on a redemption game, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. I am actually kind of curious to check out the Popeye Dizzy Divers coin pusher, just because of that, the element of it shoving all the coins into a net and then dropping that out. That sounds kind of interesting. But otherwise, it's like all the other coin pushers, I'm just kind of like, whatever, I don't care. I don't even understand how some of them are supposed to work sometimes, because sometimes the manufacturer doesn't clearly explain how the game is supposed to be played, or I'm rushing and I don't have time to sit there and read through the instructions. Yeah, thank you guys for watching this live stream and for participating. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing the Castlevania marble pusher that's out there at round 1. Just because it's Castlevania, I guess. See what it is about that one that's interesting. Or maybe one of these days we'll get, say, marble tower builders, although I don't think that's physically possible. Maybe they could do cubes or something instead of spheres. Or some other weird shape. That I guess reminding me of weird different things. Amusement Source International is going to have a cell phone case, a 3D printing cell phone case or smartphone case vending machine. That sounds interesting to me, just from a tech standpoint. And that's another thing that I really like about IAAPA too, is just there's oftentimes some new cool tech that you just stumble across at random. And there's also a very strong possibility that even though we went through, like Ted and myself went through the maps and we went through all the people saying that they're coming to IAAPA, that we missed somebody that does have an arcade-related product there, but they're not, say, in the arcade games pavilion. They're somewhere else in the show. And like I personally do make a point to go walking the show. I mean, if you were to walk every aisle from front to back, all the way through, supposedly it's 10 miles worth of walking. I don't know if that's true. It's a lot, though. And so if you are headed to IAAPA and it's your first time, make sure you have good walking shoes and make sure you're practiced on walking, because your feet are going to kill you, especially after that first day. But still, there's some really cool stuff that you can just find at random in certain places. And so don't be afraid to explore outside of the arcade area if you're only there for arcades, because you could find something that works for your venue there. So go for it. But I guess that does it for me. I'll save my voice for the show. And thank you guys again for watching and for supporting the site. And stay tuned, and be happy to be sharing updates with you guys. We'll see you around soon.